Greetings, salutations, and welcome to my network. This is the Militant Negro Network on YouTube, and I am Mr. Militant Negro. And this is a place where you can come to get facts, truth, a little bit of knowledge, informed information without any sugarcoating whatsoever. I had told myself or convinced myself that I was going to refrain from making a YouTube network video today. Since moving to the island of Sicily in October of last year, I find that I am swamped, bombarded with requests from my family to do things for them. It appears that for the 53 years that I have not lived here, my family has gotten along just fine without my assistance, but since moving back here in October, they can't do anything without my help. That, coupled with the fact that I have been neglecting my blog and my plethora of other social media platforms to do these errands, I thought I would devote my time today to blogging and stop having anything to do with making a video for the next couple of days. Then lo and behold, I get some news about Mr. Milo Yiannopoulos. That's the alt-right conservative person who is the poster boy or spokesperson or whatever you want to call it for the conservatives on the right side of politics. Unedited.org ran this story, complete with videos, and I'm not going to put any links to the videos or talk about the actual videos themselves because I'm not really interested in promoting this asshole, Milo Yiannopoulos. But anyway, this is what Mr. Milo had to say. This is the title of the story Alternet.org did. Scandal at CPAC after unearthed video shows Milo Yiannopoulos defending sex between children and adults. Yes, you heard me correctly. The now canceled CPAC speaker says 13-year-olds can consent to sex with those twice their age or more. The story was written by Callie Holloway, K-A-L-I Holloway, and it goes a little something like this. Right-wing provocateur and alt-right mascot Milo Yiannopoulos was, until today, going to be providing the keynote address at this year's Conservative Political Action Conference, or better known as CPAC. CPAC rescinded the offer to Milo after a conservative media outlet tweeted multiple clips of Milo Yiannopoulos defending cross-generational relationships between younger boys and older men. And Milo suggested he had been in a sexual relationship with an older male priest as a young teenager himself. Just let that sink in for a moment. They've even given it a name now when pedophiles get together with kids. Cross-generational relationships. Leave it to a conservative, alt-right asshole to name pedophilia relationships something that is much more acceptable in American society. Cross-generational relationships. Let me be perfectly clear here, people. Any relationship between somebody underage vis-a-vis a minor is pedophilia. The person perpetrating that relationship on a minor or underage individual is a pedophile. Simple as that. You can't dress it up. You can't put lipstick on that pig. You can't do anything to make it sound better. You fuck with a young child, a minor, an underage person, you're a pedophile. Or as the nickname used to go in my day, a Chester the molester. That's what you are. Okay, back to the story from alternate.org. The speaking roster for CPAC this year included Mike Pence, Steve Bannon, Reince Priebus, and Ted Cruz, and Donald Trump, who was captured on a 2005 video bragging that fame and fortune allowed him to grab women by the pussy, will also be on hand to speak at CPAC. And yes, Donald Trump did say his status, his stature, his wealth, his position allowed him to grab women by the pussy and nothing gets done about it because he is Donald Trump. And he is now your president because you folks voted him into office. I want to take 1 second here to just make this comparison. The 44th president of the United States of America was Barack Hussein Obama. And in my mind, Barack Hussein Obama was a colossal failure as president for many reasons on many levels. But he was nothing compared to what Donald Trump is. And I just want to make this perfectly clear. Had Barack Hussein Obama made any comment remotely in the vicinity of saying he grabbed women by the pussy, he would have been lynched. And I don't use that term lightly. Had Barack Obama said the things out his mouth that Donald Trump has been saying all his life, not just since he decided to run for president, all his life, Donald Trump has said ridiculously stupid, unacceptable, racist, misogynistic bullshit. Yet still, America voted him into office. Had Barack Hussein Obama said any one thing like Donald Trump has said, he would have been strung up. And another thing, while I'm on this subject, I think her name is pronounced Melania, however. First Lady Trump posed naked in magazines. Can you imagine the outcry for Michelle Obama's head had she posed naked in a magazine before becoming First Lady of the United States of America? What you have at play here is the double standard, the Caucasian privilege double standard. How in the holy fucking hell can Americans and America elect two such people as President and First Lady representing the United States of America when one is an admitted molester, sexual assaulter, and the other is a porn queen posing naked in magazines? And people complained about the character and the style and the grace of the 44th first couple. Okay, I digress, and I do that quite often. Back to the story from alternate.org. Yes. The Reagan Battalion dug up the below footage from Yiannopoulos' appearance on the Drunken Peasants webcast in 2016. In a roundtable discussion, the new darling of the right, Mr. Yiannopoulos, says it was his controversial point of view that children as young as 13 can be in consenting sexual relationships with adults. He went on to say, and I'm quoting, "We're talking about 13-year-olds, 25-year-olds, 13-year-olds, 28-year-olds. These things do happen. Perfectly consensual," Yiannopoulos says early on in the clip. Again, you can start watching these clips If you want to go to alternate.org and find out what they're talking about. He goes on to say, we get hung up on this kind of child abuse stuff to the point where we're heavily policing even relationships between consenting adults. You know, grad students and professors at universities. I want to stop right there to correct Mr. Yiannopoulos. A college-age student and a grad-age student and a professor at a university have no relationship to a 13-year-old child and a 23 or 28 or 49 or 120-year-old person. That's like orange juice and motor oil. They are not the same. They are vastly different. And you can understand Mr. Yiannopoulos' mental capacity and a lack of mental function when he compares a grad student and a college professor's relationship to that of a 13-year-old and a 28-year-old. The man is stark, raving, fucking insane. Back to the story. After a discussion of why age of consent laws exist, Yiannopoulos offers more insight into his mentally unstable thoughts. There are certain people who are capable of giving consent at a young age. I certainly consider myself to be one of them. People who are sexually active younger. I think it particularly happens in the gay world, by the way. Here, Yiannopoulos manages to shoehorn in insults to the left for a stupid, one-size-fits-all policing of culture that objects to children being sexually involved with adults. Pay attention to this now, people, because I'm reading this from a story, and these things are quotes from Mr. Milo Yiannopoulos himself. He clearly believes children should be allowed to have sexual consent as young as the age of 13 to choose sexual partners 20 years older than they are, or more. This is Mr. Yiannopoulos. All you idiots out there supporting him, defending him. What say you about this garbage? I'll be over here waiting till you give up your comments. On with the story. This arbitrary and oppressive idea of consent, which totally destroys, understanding that many of us have lots of complexities and subtitles and complicated nature of many relationships. I don't understand what none of that means. Here he continues. People are messy and complex. In the homosexual world particularly. Some of those relationships between younger boys and older men, the sort of coming-of-age relationships, the relationships in which those older men help those young boys to discover who they are and give them security and safety and provide them with love and a reliable and sort of rock where they can speak to their parents. I don't understand what any of that shit means, but I do understand it. He's dead wrong. He was probably molested as a child. And like with the Stockholm Syndrome, where a person's kidnappers have the kidnappee identify with them and connect with them, I believe Mr. Yiannopoulos has connected and sympathized with his molester. But that's just an opinion. Another panelist interjected to compare Yiannopoulos' description to Catholic priest molestation. Catholic priest. And it goes on to say, and you know what? Yiannopoulos responds, I'm grateful for Father Michael. I wouldn't give nearly such good head if it wasn't for him. That kind of leaves me speechless. On with the story. He goes on to suggest that his co-panelist is misunderstanding what pedophilia means. Pedophilia is not a sexual attraction to somebody 13 years old who is sexually mature. Pedophilia is attraction to children who have not reached puberty. Pedophilia is attraction to people who don't have functioning sex organs yet, who have not gone through puberty. That's what we are talking about. You are advocating for cross-generation relationships here, a co-panelist asked. Can we be honest about that? Yeah, Yiannopoulos responds. I don't mind admitting that. I think particularly in the gay world and outside the Catholic Church, if that's where some of you want to go with this, I think in the gay world, some of the most important, enriching, and incredibly life-affirming, important, shaping relationships, very often between younger boys and older men, they can be hugely positive for those young boys. They can even save those young boys from desolation, from suicide, providing they're consensual. In another video dating back to 2015, Yiannopoulos discusses the topic on the podcast of comedian Joe Rogan. The conversation centers on Yiannopoulos' sexual relationship at age 14 with an older priest. He was a terrible person, Rogan says of the alleged perpetrator pedophile who molested Milo. It wasn't molestation, Yiannopoulos responds. It was perfectly consensual. Rogan replies, that's absolutely molestation. I don't even know where to go with this. I'm seriously stumped that a human being would think these thoughts, let alone go on a video, podcast, or whatever, and speak these things. The definition of pedophilia is sexual feelings directed toward children. That is what the definition of pedophilia is. When you are sexually attracted to children. And as far as I understand it, a 13-year-old, a 14-year-old, anyone under the age of consent is a child. And I'm no expert on the age of consent, but I believe it's something that is set state to state. And I believe that that age of consent starts at the age of 18, depending on what state you're in. The age of consent is the age at which a person is considered to be legally competent to consent to sexual acts, and is thus the minimum age of a person whom another person is legally permitted to engage in sexual activity. You have to understand this. State to state, this varies. There are many gray areas in the area of law concerning sexual consent. The age of sexual consent is a gray area, some regarding unspecified and untried legislation, others brought about by debates regarding changing social attitudes, and others due to conflicts between federal and state laws. These factors all make up age of consent, an often confusing subject. But the fact of the matter is, anybody can tell you that the age of consent is not 13 or 14 years old. Not in the United States of America. In some third world countries, people in the 12 to 14 to 18-year-old age range can and are married. In America, in the United States of America, that is molestation. I believe the age of consent is 18 years old. Anything below that is statutory rape, molestation, pedophilia, regardless of what Mr. Yiannopoulos tells you. So there you have it, folks. I thought that was important enough for me to get my lazy ass on YouTube and make a video about it. Because quite frankly, this is disturbing and disgusting. Milo Yiannopoulos. Don't forget that name. And while all you alt-right conservative people on the left, on the right side of politics, while all you Republicans are out there at CPAC or watching CPAC on TV and applauding all those politicians, think about this video right here. I'm out of here. Peace out. Happy February, which is of course Black History Month. Be well. Stay safe. Namaste.